Hello my dear students, let us start our today's class. Today we will discuss Newton's second law of motion. The rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the net force applied on the object. And the direction of the change of momentum is the same as the direction of the net force. That is, F is proportional to dp by dt. Now here dp represents change in momentum and dt is time taken for this change in momentum. Now why we are writing like this, dp by dt? Why dp and dt? Actually dp or dt, it's a method of representation if any physical quantity is changes by small amount. Means if there is change in velocity and if the amount of change is very small, you can write it as dv. Clear? If the change in displacement is very small, then you can write it as ds, like this. So here change in momentum is dp, as p is the momentum, and change in time is dt, where t is the time. Now each and every word of second law of motion is very important. Means see, rate of change of momentum. So what is rate of change of momentum? How it is directly proportional to the net force applied. How the direction is important here. Each and every point we will discuss in our next discussion, where we will discuss the mathematical formulation of second law of motion. Now let us discuss it. To derive the mathematical formulation of second law of motion, we will consider a body of mass small m, and which is moving with initial velocity u. Means initially the object is moving with velocity u, and let at the initial moment, that is at t equals to 0, a force F, capital F, acts on the body for time t, small t, and during this interval of time the velocity of the body changes to v. Due to application of this force, the velocity of the object changes from u to v. Now see, mass of the object we have considered small m and initial velocity is u. So what will be the initial momentum? Initial momentum is equals to mu, and the final momentum is equals to mv, as final velocity is v, so final momentum is m into v. Now what is the amount of change in momentum? Change in momentum is equals to mv minus mu, that is dp is equals to dp, or change in momentum is equals to m into v minus u. So we have derived the amount of change in momentum. Now what is the rate of change in momentum? Actually rate of change of any physical quantity is the amount of change during unit interval of time. So for this amount of change of momentum, time taken is equals to t minus 0, that is t. Therefore rate of change in momentum is equals to m into v minus u by t, that is change in momentum by time. Clear? So now what is the second law of motion? What just we have discussed. The rate of change in momentum is directly proportional to the force applied on the object. So here the force applied is capital F, and rate of change in momentum is m into v minus u by t. So we can write, according to Newton's second law of motion, that force applied is directly proportional to the rate of change in momentum. Now just substitute the mathematical expression. So we can write F is directly proportional to m into v minus u by t. Now let us give the number of this equation as 1. Now in our first chapter we have learned the first equation of motion, that is v equals to u plus at. So what is a here? Acceleration. A is equals to v minus u by t. Now just see the first equation. Rate of change of momentum is equals to m into v minus u by t. So in place of v minus u by t, we can write a. So just substitute v minus u by t is equals to a. What we will get? The equation 1 can be written as F is directly proportional to m into a. Now if you want to remove the proportionality sign, if you want to give a equal sign, then you have to introduce a constant term. So F is equals to K into MA. Now what is K here? If two physical quantity are directly proportional to each other or inversely proportional to each other, means if any proportional sign is there between two physical quantity, and if you want to remove the proportionality sign, if you want to introduce a equal sign, then by mathematical conventional method, it is you have to introduce a constant term. Means if you want to remove the proportionality sign, if you want to write equal sign, then you have to multiply it with a constant term. So here K is the constant of proportionality. Now see, if we consider the amount of force, F is equals to 1 unit, and mass of the object m equals to is also 1 unit, and acceleration of the object is also 1 unit. So you just substitute F equals to 1, m equals to 1, a equals to 1. What you will get? Then K will also be equals to 1. So if we consider like this, we can consider K is equals to 1. So just put this value of K is equals to 1 in equation 2. What we will get? F equals to m into a. So this is the mathematical expression of Newton's second law of motion, which is very, very important, and from this mathematical expression we can derive the amount of force applied on any object with mass m if its acceleration produced due to the applied force is a. Then we can say amount of force is equals to mass into acceleration. So this formula is very, very important. You have to remember it. So next we will discuss the unit of force. First we will discuss SI unit of force and then CGS unit of force. Now SI unit of force is Newton and it is represent as capital N. Now we will derive what is 1 Newton. What is Newton actually? Now see, F is equals to m into a. Now if we consider force is 1 Newton, then mass m will be also 1 unit, as we are discussing about SI system. So m will be 1 kg and acceleration a will be 1 meter per second square, means 1 kg meter per second square. So we can conclude 1 Newton is equals to 1 kg meter second to the power minus 2. So actually what is 1 Newton then? The force is said to be 1 Newton if it produces 1 meter per second square acceleration in a body of 1 kg mass. Now what is CGS unit of force? It is dyne. CGS unit of force is dyne. Now we will derive the what is 1 dyne. Similarly, like SI system, as force is in CGS system, so mass will be also in CGS system, and acceleration also we have to consider in CGS system. Therefore, 1 dyne is equals to 1 gram into 1 centimeter per second square. Means 1 gram into centimeter per second square, or 1 gram into centimeter into second to the power minus 2. So what is 1 dyne? The force is said to be 1 dyne if it produces 1 centimeter per second square acceleration in a body of 1 gram mass. Now we will discuss what is the relation between Newton and dyne, that is SI unit of force and CGS unit of force. So we know 1 Newton is equals to 1 kg into 1 meter per second square. Now what is 1 kg? 1 kg equals to 1000 gram and 1 meter equals to 100 centimeter. So just substitute 1 kg equals to 1000 gram and 1 meter equals to 100 centimeter. Therefore 1 Newton is equals to 10 to the power 5 dyne. This is the relation between CGS and SI unit of force, that is Newton and dyne. Next we will discuss a very important topic, how we can deduce Newton's first law of motion from Newton's second law of motion. Now we know from second law of motion F is equals to mass into acceleration, or F equals to m into v minus u by t. Now if we consider there is no external force, that is F is equals to 0, then right hand side of this expression, that is m into v minus u by t, will be also 0, or you just cross multiply it. T into 0 means 0, means m into v minus u is also equals to 0. Now see, mass is never 0. Therefore we can conclude v minus u is equals to 0, means v equals to u. Listen very carefully. If no external force is applied, then velocity remain constant. Means initial velocity is equals to final velocity. Whatever velocity the object is moving, it will remain move with same velocity if there is no external force. Okay. Now if you consider initially the object is at rest, means u is equals to 0, then v will be also equals to 0, means the body will remain continue in its state of rest if no external force is applied on the body, and that is the first law of motion. So from second law of motion we deduce the Newton's first law of motion. Now this much is for today. Thank you.